Welcome to the Macro Chat Live Show. Oh my gosh, it seems like that music goes towards the very end. I don't know if it's just me anyways. But anyways, welcome. Let me go through my loop. AD is here with me. It is the feedback loop. This is the Macro Chat Live Show where we chat about close-up, macro, and micro photography. We feature amazing guests and we talk about shooting, equipment, post-processing, so you can create the work that you love. Also, what we do, AD is probably seated in the show notes, we answer questions. And so we have a question from Skeeter. Yay! Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Elise. JR, you're here. So let me introduce ourselves real quick so we can dive right into the show because we've got some great images and a bunch of fun things to talk about today. So my name is Janice Sullivan, where I help macro photographers to make world-class photographs that they're happy and proud of so they can share it with the world or to the world. And then we have AD. Is it the wrong way? Oh, I did it the right way. Yes. So AD is the producer of this show, and he is one of my actual photographer mentors. And he is, you can see all of his awesome work at theexplorographer.com, which AD has put all the good stuff down here. If you guys don't know who we are, you could check out our websites. So AD, are you ready? Are you ready for the fun?
Sure.
So today, Baz is here. Hey, Baz, he sent me 3 images that I totally love because they're flowers.
Cool.
But I did not get like your goal set. So if you could let me know in the chat, we'll get to those towards the end, and then I'll pay attention to the chat. So yeah, look at, he says, I'm here so you could start. Yes, Baz, you could start now.
We always wait for Baz.
Yeah. So if you are new here, this is a chat show, so we definitely pay attention to this chat, and you'll get to know everybody that's here. So definitely share where you're from, say hello, and start chatting it up because that's what it's all about.
Baz says that he's not been feeling well, so that's why he didn't get his stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, we could hold his images if we have to, and we'll see. See how it goes.
Yeah.
See how our time runs.
Yeah. We'll see how the time goes, and then if not, we can do it for sure. And thank you, Baz, because so what basically, AD, what I've done is I had 3 Facebook groups, and they know here that's here. I couldn't do that. It's just too much.
Right.
So what I ended up doing was making one Facebook group, which is the Pro Macro photography Facebook group. So right. I got rid of just too much. I just want to hone in on one. And I actually started that when I was in the Arcanum with the mentors. So anyways, I have 8,500 people, or I should say we, not just me. We have 8,500 people. And it's like pulling teeth to get people to share their images. And so Baz had said in the group, hey, you got to get people to try to, share their work. I'm like, I'm trying.
If you can reach 1% of the numbers, like I always tell people, if you're trying to build a following, a lot of people don't want to interact. They just want to look, and they don't want to. They just want in, they want to see, they want something to look at to inspire them. They want to use it for their purpose, but they don't really want to interact. If you can achieve your 1%, then you're doing extremely well. And I know that seems weird, but if you could reach that 1%, if you could get 80 people to get involved, you'll be lucky, because I know in with YouTube, some of the channels that I follow, one is Art with Jazza, which is an amazing channel. He's a gentleman down in Australia, and he has 52 million followers. And
wow.
So he still has issues. Getting.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm like going off and on. I have no idea what's wrong with my computer, or if it's Skype or whatever.
Don't know. This happens every week, though. Just about this time in the show, we get here weird. And then I have to fly solo. So
yeah, you're used to it now.
It's fine.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
We'll be
okay. Right. Yeah. Well, I do not know. We'll just keep going, and AD will just end up doing the whole show. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's one of the things that I ended up doing was doing a video saying, hey, this is I call it pro macro photography because we're always trying to strive to make better photographs, and
Right.
so it's not just like a dump thing. And they can go to 5 million other photography groups. They don't have to come and,
Sure.
they can leave. But I am trying, and I will. But I want to say thank you to all of you guys that have submitted images, and I'm excited to see Greg. Greg knows both me and AD.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see, what do we have? So it is a feedback loop. With so AD, when you do, okay, I guess we could just show the every other week. I didn't put it in here, but every other week is the show.
Yeah, that's what we strive for.
Yeah. So we join here free to just chat it up all about macro photography. So next week on Thursday, I'll have a video, and I want to tell you, so I'm going to share with you what the video, you guys get to see the behind the scenes of the next video, but I do want to tell Elise that she gave me such an awesome idea of making videos. So when we get to her image, I will talk a little bit more about that. If I don't, Elise, call me out because I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, there I am again. I can tell when I die.
No, I had to reset your camera because you constantly desync with your audio. I have to do this every week. So if you guys ever see the camera freeze, that's what's happening is I'm resyncing her camera because it will not stay synced. Janice is, you need to support Janice. She needs your support, everybody. If you're out there, she needs a new computer right now, and she needs a more powerful computer. And the one that she has barely gets the job done every week, although we work hard to make it happen. So as long as we have your audio, I think it's most important.
Cool.
I want to just say really quickly for all of those people who aren't watching live, because we know that the folks that come here and watch live, and we'd love to have more people come watch live, but the people that come here and watch live, they already know this. But I want to tell people who are maybe just finding your video today, are not watching live, are in the future, maybe 50 years in the future. I'm speaking in the past, back to the future. Please submit images, and you can do so at the link right down here that I just put up. So submit some images. We need more images. Not that we don't love the images that we get from the people that we get them for, but more is better. That we have more to choose from. Even those people will be they'll be inspired by seeing other people's images, maybe outside the group. So if you're watching this on a read broadcast, or you just found this channel somehow, please submit some images. Let us know your goals on those, why you took the photo, what your goals in processing were, what you're trying to achieve with your photos. That's the most important thing. I think what you're trying to achieve. And then we'll give you constructive and hopefully good feedback on how to reach those goals or reach them easier or better. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know we sometimes skip over the submit thing. So.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think too, though, the reason why it's so nice to have a lot of variety of images, because there's a variety. I mean, I think photography is a puzzle. Sure. And so the different puzzle pieces that we show with you guys, the ideas that you can get from it. And the loop also is, so what the images that we're going to be sharing today is we give every single image will be, most of the time, we'll have a little homework. And that's just like what me and AD like to do. Just give a little push just to try something different or whatever we see. We don't know until we actually do the show.
And it's nice because I think the people that come here and have submitted, we've seen leaps in their creativity. And that's the proof that it works. So if you're just picking up on the show, you've never seen it before, definitely submit some images. I guarantee you, it will be a positive experience for you. So
yes, for sure. And that is so true. Yeah, I mean, Baz in general, just with his water drops, I'm like, dang, boy, you guys have won when we first started to where he is now. It's like, wow. And Elise is stepping out of her box. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Wait till you see Elise stuff. And Greg, he said he set up his calendar to remind him. Yay. I'm so happy about that, Greg. That's awesome. Yeah. And then Paul says, I've got some flowers for you. Oh my gosh, let's throw them in.
Awesome.
You saw the link. We could do it next, then 2 weeks from now. And it's a first come, first serve. I just kind of flipped them through. So no, but sometimes I thought I was abusing sending my pictures. No, not at all. Not at all. I just think that you guys should just go for it.
Yep.
So just to let everyone know, mark your calendars, because Greg's doing his calendar, which I love. That's why I'm a calendar person. March 18th is the next show. So it'll be Thursday, March 18th. It's in 2 weeks, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's going to be daylight time because we're changing, right? We're changing. Pacific Standard Time is now, but it's going to change. So I don't remember what the date when that happens.
So I can get my farming in.
Yeah, you're going to be having some fun. Oh, you're going to have some your what is it? You're farming for your butterflies that go in your house. Yeah.
That'll be a while yet.
Yeah, I know. My daughter's going that way. So let's see. Okay, so when you submit, just real quick, you can submit 3 images, and you can submit a portfolio. That means 10 images in a group, and we will give you feedback on the portfolio altogether, not in an individual image. And that's like, I think nobody does that. So I love that in our show. So, are you ready?
Sure.
Now, see, you guys, AD hasn't seen these images. That's one of the things I used to send it to him, and now it's just like time is never a friend. And so now now he's seeing them for the first time. So,
sweet.
Baz, positive. Yes. Let's see. JR, me too. Okay. I try to help out. Oh, yeah. Elise is awesome. She helps out on the Facebook group. So, with that said, we're going to get ready for JR's image.
Ta-da!
And I have it ready. Is that awesome? I didn't screw it up. Oh my gosh, I always mess up. So yes, JR, he gave me 3 images for you and I, AD, to have some fun with. And also, I want to give you guys, the people that are chatting, give him feedback too. No mean stuff. We're all here to be creative. And so if you're going to say something about the image, give him advice on how to fix it, or what would you do? You know what I mean? So that's, instead of just saying, I don't like that, maybe, whatever. I never like to just, I just moved something over. Sorry, that was my fault.
Just keep in mind that when we're giving the feedback, we're taking into our minds what they're trying to achieve. I'm not giving my opinion on something. And if I do, I will also, and Janice will as well, tell you that that's an opinion. So that's stuff like that. You can just go with a grain of salt. But if you have a specific goal in mind for your photo, and this is why we ask for these, if you are trying to achieve a mood, if you're trying to portray a story, don't tell us the story so much as tell us that with this image, I wanted a feeling of darkness, or I wanted a feeling of fear or cheer or happiness. Those are the things that we're looking for, because then we can see how that translates to what we're seeing in our first impressions, and find a way to make the connection between what you're trying to express and what other people see. And that is where we're going to build your creativity. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to give feedback in the chat, remember that, unless you know the goals of the image, you're offering an opinion, which is fine. We enjoy that. But the person who submitted the photos has to understand as well that that's an opinion, and you should take that into effect and maybe apply it to what you're trying to do, but don't make it your number one rule or let it affect your creativity, because everybody sees things differently. And we all do. Yep.
So true. So true. So this is from JR, and even Elise is saying, I love how you think outside the box, and he really does. He's really creative. So, and that's another thing too, just real quick, the more you guys send, the more we get to know you, the more we know what you're going for. So this one's called Sad Times. So he knows sad time. This is like his feeling for this image, and he did shoot off of a Canon 760D, and he used an ISO 100 f/20, 6 seconds, 200 millimeter extension tube, and he processed it in Luminar, and he was trying to get a matte effect look in this
good deal
image. Yes, so I totally see with the time where he's going for, on Sad Times, because it is a dark feel to it.
Yeah, the idea of like a black or a dark rose in the background, in the hourglass, definitely gives that. I think the processing is good. It gives me that matte kind of older, antique-y kind of feel. I think that's all great.
Yeah, I like that. I do want to say a couple things for technical, though. I mean, he's talking about dark feeling and stuff. So, with JR, I would get some of that speckling highlights at the very top. Do you see that, AD? Let me just point it.
I do see some of it. I mean, my screen, it's about yay big because I'm getting a Skype preview. So it's hard for me to see the images.
So let me just... See these little speckle highlights? The reason why I would get rid of them, because he wants a sad, dark time. And so for me, this right here is time, no problem. But the speckles would just leave. Maybe he left it too, because like some of these over here, JR, maybe I'd leave these ones over here to the side in, because then it would just be flat. I get that. So we kind of want to have a dimension, but some of these I would probably remove just because it is a dark feel to it. But I think you did a great job.
Yeah, I think that the only thing that I would suggest on the image is a third subject. Like,
oh, you think so?
I do. I something else to tie in the story. Now that's just me. But part of the feedback loop is. JR, it seems like you're interested in storytelling with your images, and that's great. And so I would experiment around with 2 items and 3 items. Try odd numbers of items and see, take those photos and then take away an item and then look at the 2 together and see which you feel more powerfully expresses what you're trying to create. So that's what I would give for you for feedback is experimentation. And I'm sure you guys are doing it, because we only see like we see your image that you submit, right? And I'm sure the image that you submit is the best of the lot that you picked out of many probably that you tried and didn't work for you. And so that is something that I just would put out there as a suggestion. The rule of odds works very well when composing images like this. So having 3 subjects in there, you kind of do with the sand at the top and the sand at the bottom.
That my eyes go there, but he does have a right corner a little bit, but it's so big. Maybe that's what's why you're feeling that way. But I think that it's I definitely think that that's cool.
But I love the processing. The color processing is awesome. I like the old vintage kind of look and the grainy look to the sand, which is really accentuated. So you did a wonderful job in there, and the detail in the rose too is very nice.
Yeah, isn't it? Okay, so let me get to his next one.
Sure.
Which is Chaos. This one's Chaos, and he used the same camera. His ISO was the same 100. He was at f8 on this one at 6 seconds, and he also used his extension tubes. He stacked 9 photos using Helicon focus for the first time.
Oh, good job, man! That's always a great feeling to get that many images stacked and be happy with the outcome of that. That's a triumph in itself.
Well, I think once you've stacked for the first time, it's like revealing a whole new world It's just
for
like,
sure.
wow, this is so cool. That's why I stack probably about 90% of my images now, because I just love the feeling of being able to get up close and see all those details. And I think that's where he's going with this, is that it's chaos because of all the crazy, pollen everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's doing.
The image is slightly chaotic for me, so I totally get that. I'm not sure personally if it's in a good way though, and I'm not downing the image. I think there's still things here that could be extracted from the image and made into an image, but there's almost just too much things for my eyes to look at all over the place. And
it's definitely chaotic.
Yeah, if you were going, I would like to see you go like add a texture to this, or add some sort of extra post processing to turn this into maybe the color palette a little bit, work on that. And that might help it a little bit. But right now it is absolute chaos. You're absolutely right.
I think a crop would just tone it down, because for me,
yeah, the three water drops right there helped quite a bit, removing just those extra two up in the corner and the large water drop there that's kind of blended into the leaf that you can't quite see. So that crop that you did brought it to 3 water drops, which I think instantaneously for me made the image more powerful. It went up a few notches right there. Right there, it goes up a few notches. Whoops. For me. It still expresses the chaos, but now there is the rule of odds is a little bit better there for me.
It still tells him his point, and our eyes are happy now.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. I think like if you're trying to create like a chaotic image and yet have people like it, that would be a pretty good feat to pull that off, because most people do not like to look at chaos, if that makes sense.
And that's fine. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if it's for a fine art piece,
right,
this would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but I still agree on the crop. You know what I mean? Because the crop's still giving you pieces to look at in this chaos. So
and in a way that doesn't make me dart all over the screen. Like here, I just want, my eyes are just everywhere, and it's not pleasant for me to look at. But the immediate point of when you cropped it, I was like, yeah.
But you know what else too?
That's
what
cool.
else? Okay, I like the crop, but let me just throw something out here. You know what? If this was on its own, like a huge, big piece, like if we were going into like a big, somewhere, right? And it was a chaotic, this would be fun because you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like if we were to go into a gallery and
if it was a big wall, mural. Yeah, I agree with that too as well. But I think in that case, I would probably crop it the other way and make it a little bit more, take out that leaf in the bottom, like take this out. Bring it up and make it a ultra wide image.
Okay, let me reset that.
Moves it into what we call the epic crop, or like a movie crop.
Wow, I don't know why it wouldn't let me. Oh, I need to reset it over here. Come on, it's not letting me reset. Oh well, but he gets the gist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think playing around with the crop a little bit in this one definitely, and Greg makes a nice point there too. It gives you a place for your observation to land. It gives you a starting point. It gives you a place to go.
That's such a great way. He writes so good. When I read his thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I could write like him. Or I would love to one of these days.
Good
stuff. So then let's see. Okay, so we have the chaos, and we have, I think I forgot the old rose, huh? Let me look.
So the most important thing about this image, I think, is to JR, as Janice is looking for the next one, is that you're experimenting in different ways. So you took something that was non-traditional and you captured it, and now take it a little bit further in your feedback and try different crops to see if you get a different reaction. It's so hard. Like what I used to do is I would crop an image the way I thought I wanted it, and then I'd put it away for a day and move on to another image, which is very hard to start working on another image while you're on an image because you feel like if you're not done, you can't leave it. You might lose the muse or whatever. It really, the best thing that you can do, our ears usually fatigue after about an hour and 30 minutes of listening to music. Where to the point where we can't be critical about the mix, we can't be critical about the tones and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to get away from it.
Right.
Yep.
Our eyes are exactly the same way. And there was an experiment that we did in the Arcanum, and I can't remember it exactly, but it was about the color red. And it was interesting that you could look at an image for 15 minutes or so and then show a different image, and suddenly the red didn't like work as well when you went back to look at it again, that your eyes fatigue from working on one image to the next. So my suggestion is crop it, do a little bit of work on it, and put it away and come back to it the next day. And then see if, you know, look at an A/B between the old crop. You can go to your history in most programs and just bounce back and forth between the two crops and see at that point when you're looking at it fresh the next day, which one you like the best. And that'll really help you make that decision, because a lot of times it's really hard to choose when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was playing while you were giving them a little excitement while you were talking. I'm in one of those moods. This is his old rose. And so with this one, he says that, okay, so he used the same camera, ISO 100 f14 at this one, 6 seconds. He also did the extension tube, which is really fun. We're going to talk about that today. And then he wanted to emphasize the texture of the dead rose.
Yes.
So that's where he definitely got that spot on.
Yep,
the
very
dead
cool.
rose, he really did. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, look at this. I love life and death. This is pure death, which is really cool.
Yep.
So I think you did it. I mean, I think you did it. You got the, you were looking for the texture of the dead rose and you emphasized it. And he did awesome on that. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, when I first looked at the image, and of course you get my first impression, I don't study these images ahead of time or anything. So I just give you like an off the cuff, something that I happen to be fairly decent at. To me, I want to get closer. That usually means it should have been shot closer. Like, get in there. I want to see even more of that texture. I mean, don't you want to, like, some of those lines and things, I want to zoom right in on them as close as I possibly can see and see if it's like fractals, like it suddenly changes its look by getting even closer. Now, technically, that might not be a capability right now, but keep that in mind for the future as you look at new lenses and things like that, because it really draws me in. Yeah, the closer just gives me that. I can really see the crunch.
I'm looking at, Baz had said crop, turn 90 degrees clockwise. I did counter. Let me go back. But let's go back and reset it. And yeah, this is clockwise. But I agree, Greg. I want to get to here, that's like my thing right there or whatever. You know what I want to do? I'm going to crop it the way I want to because I got the power. I've got the power. Let me go over here. Let's get the power going. Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I do like that.
The difficulty you would find is the one thing that we talk about a lot on this show, and it's triangles of contrast in the corners. It's going to be very hard with a round item to crop it square and deal with those dark corners.
It's like cool. Do you like that one? I like that one.
Yeah, you have a light contrasting triangle in one side and a dark contrasting in the other. So this is where the difficulty rolls in.
Well, I think if he did a vignette or something, maybe that would, just to bring our eyes in. Let's just do that. We're just going to play with yours, right, JR? We're just going to have some fun.
I've become a little bit of a snob when it comes to vignettes because it can become very easy just to slap a vignette on something to fix what you should have fixed when you were shooting
as long as when you should have.
So you have to be careful with vignettes.
Okay, so let's reset it. There it is. Thanks for letting us play.
Yeah, I think
love it.
the square crop idea is a good idea with this one as well. I'm not sure that the wider format crop, and then move it to the right, or move it
I'm
to
trying to
the left.
Should have.
There you go.
Yeah.
You still end up with.
I don't know. I still have this right here. I don't like this part right here. So it'd be a fun challenge to play. Let's just get real tight with it. How's that?
Yeah, now that right there, stop. For me, that right there works extremely well, because you got that one little triangle in the upper right hand corner that you could clone that out. But this moves it more into an abstract kind of look. Yet
I like that too.
You can see those textures. That as soon as you did that, my brain went. Phew, I felt it in my brain. And see, that's what you got to do with the crops. Sometimes is you do have to really mess with the crop. Sometimes you got to get in super tight, even so tight that the image doesn't hold its resolution anymore, because you're learning about next time maybe I'll just shoot it tighter and get all that detail and do that. Yeah. So. I mean, and this sometimes is the way that we find that we need a new lens. So,
seriously,
it depends. It really depends. But I think I think in all three examples, and the first one I felt was the best out of the three, because you showed the storytelling in the image, and I really enjoy that always a lot. But I think all three images showed that you are having no problem capturing a well-balanced image of interest. Like you've got the right ideas. Now it's time to play. Really and that would be my feedback is more. I want to see more play.
Yeah, that's cool. That's your loop. That's
my loop. Yep.
All right. Let's go into us because we're going to talk about Skeeter's question. Skeeter, are you here? Okay, so Skeeter, this show is all about questions about macro photography, whatever it is. And one of the things that Skeeter had mentioned to me is that, and I know Debbie, I don't know if she's here, so I'm hoping Skeeter's here. If you are, let us know in the chat, because
I'll pull down the participants list.
Yes. And so this is the thing. So there is a lot, like Debbie is in my inner circle, which she's just like the awesome Miss Awesome. And so she is now thinking about teaching photography with her flowers. She's got some beautiful stuff. Cool. So I'm like, well, let's work on those goal sets. Let's start working on getting you going. So that's what I'm helping her push her, I like to push. And so Skeeter sent me a side note and said, hey, Janice, I'd like to speak with you and AD. He wanted some private advice. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say his name.
Janice.
I blew that because I said, you don't have to. Oh my gosh.
You're fired.
I blew that. I am fired. I am so sorry. So no, I said, we don't have to say your name. Janice is such a screwball. Okay, well, anyways, the cat's out of bag. But you know what? Don't be embarrassed. This is something that we all, like I asked to this day, like my daughter, Ashley, how does this look? You know what I mean? It's just so good to have a mentor, and somebody to, got your back. And so what he was doing is he's going to teach class on macro photography. He has a workshop in May.
Cool.
And so he's already done it before.
Congrats.
So he says that he would like to pick our brains on how, about teaching, since both of us are teachers in the field of teaching, getting out there and teaching. So basically I said, awesome, let's talk about this on the show, because yes, this is a creative show, but it's also about just anything with macro photography. So I wanted to say, hey, if you guys have questions about teaching and but I still want to keep it on the macro level. I don't want this show to go off to Neverland. But so he may not be here right now because he's not going to say anything now. So I do want to give a couple tips, and then AD, you can give a couple tips. I'm looking at the clock. We still have some equipment, so we're going to make these things quick. I want to talk about Greg's. I want to talk about Elise's work. So I want to just say that whenever I'm teaching and I do workshops live now. I've been doing them for 3 years now. And one of the things that I've learned, because boy, were they horrible in the beginning. So I thank you all Inner Circle members that dealt with me in the very beginning, because it was bad. I was, when you're teaching live into a group, one of the things that I always feel like is just like make sure that what you start with, they will come out with an outcome. You can't teach everything. So you have to pick what you want to do. In macro photography, we have so many different ways. You got to think about, what are you going to teach? You can't teach the whole macro. If it's a beginner's, then you can teach a little, just teach the basics, and give yourself like 3 or 4 different steps that they will achieve at the end. Say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to make your focus point very sharp in a macro image, and whatever. Let's just use that because that's one of the hardest, even lighting. And then you just take them on step 1. Let's look at your lens, and then you have them shoot if that's what you're doing. That's why I wanted to know if he was here. And then, then you go to the next step, and you make sure that the outcome is achievable, because you don't want them to going out and saying, well, I didn't learn jack. And you can't just teach so much. So I just wanted to give anybody that wants to teach what you do, give them 3 to 4 different little tasks to get to the outcome. So you have to figure out what you're trying to do. Like, I'm having a macro, I'm going to talk at the end of the show. I'm having an indoor photograph flowers indoors. So I'm going to teach them how I look at a flower when we're indoors, because that environment is totally different than it is outdoors, the creative way. So I have like different little steps that we're going to do. So in the end, whatever flower they are working on, they will be able to photograph that and be happy with the outcome. That's my goal, to teach them. So does that make sense, AD?
Yeah, absolutely. I think finding what you excel at, picking a few of those topics that can be achieved in a workshop, and then making a plan of how to get from point A to point B, so that when they leave, they feel that they've achieved what your workshop is about, right? So if you're going to do, like, your workshop is going to be on indoor flower photography, well, you might want to break that down to basic studio setup, basic lighting, then tricks about, different things, different fun tricks that you can do to make it a creative experience, or things that you can try. Problems that you might run into. This is always one that doesn't get addressed at a lot of the workshops that I've been to, where they don't tell you about what happens if you fail, what happens if you go out and do this. It's always good to know that stuff ahead of time. Like, when I would do landscape workshops, I would tell people, like, don't rely on the weather forecast. Like, if you see that it's going to rain, don't break your plans. Go anyway. Get right to your location. Do it anyways, because you might be surprised. The clouds might break when you're there. No one knows exactly how the weather's going to react in any single point at any time, really. So I've had, I learned this through experience. We went to a national park in Maine, and Acadia, and we looked up sunset. Okay, so this was early on in my landscaping shooting times, and I looked up sunset, and sunset, it said, was at 8 p.m. So we got there. Umbrellas, bad for sure. We got there at 7:30. I found the locations that I wanted to shoot for. The sky looked kind of crappy, but I was hopeful. 8 o'clock came around, sun went down, no sunset. So I was taking long exposures. All these people were leaving. Everybody leaving.
Yeah, that's people give up. So
30 minutes later, at 8:30, the sky exploded in color.
To purple.
Yeah.
At least
all
mine do,
all these amazing colors. But if I wouldn't have stayed and I would have just paid attention to, the sunset is at 8 o'clock, we're not really going to have anything. It taught me that some of the best sunsets happen like after the sun's gone way down. Like it's got to bounce off, the ocean or other parts of the land underneath the clouds to get that light. It takes a while for that to happen sometimes. Just little things like that. You want to tell people like the failures and how to deal with them as well.
Yes, I got videos, you guys, on that because like I was doing macro flowers over in the desert and I forgot my tripod. Yep. And when you get up really close and I didn't have my flash, I mean, there's videos in there. So that's the other thing is you want to rehearse your workshops, obviously, go through them. You don't have to do them word for word. A lot of people aren't very comfortable with scripting a workshop. Like, you don't want to read every word because I've tried that. I've tried it where I really experienced that was with like doing podcasts. And I figured, I'll make a tutorial video and I'll read off a teleprompter. And that went very bad. I found out that it was just easier for me to speak and just be natural. You know what I do though, is I have a PDF that helps them because mine's a 3-hour workshop. So I don't know how long he's
I'll tell you the key. As a performer for 30 years, I will tell you the key to memorization is get a freaking piece of paper, get a pencil out, and write it down. Because the act of actually writing something puts it in your brain. If you type it, it doesn't work. Typing is not tactile in the right way to make you remember something. And PDFs they have me reading too much and
no, not my PDFs. I have them write everything down. Like we do research on your flower, research, and you write down stuff. I make them write down. I agree with you.
You definitely have to write things. I think probably the other thing is to have backups with you for situations. So if you need a list to remember your batteries, to remember your, whatever, have all of that stuff is probably more than important than having your, your script to go by.
So true. So true. Now, Baz, what are you saying? Is that a flower vase, Janice? What is he talking? Because did I move or something? He probably saw something. I don't know. I don't get that. So hi, Sue. I think Sue's new. I don't know. Sue, where are you from, Sue? We call you out. This is a chat show, so we always like to say hello to newbies. I'm so happy you're here. This is awesome. Cool. So you know what? So I think we've given some awesome stuff. Let's go into Greg's image. I'm really excited to share this one. So Greg, you are so awesome. You've given me some great information, and I want to read this out because I think it's going to help other macro photographers do fruit and, stuff like this. He has I'm going to show the behind the scenes like Elise did too. We'll get into Elise's too. So he says he's always enjoyed macro abstract images, and I see he likes the fruit cross sections. So with winter, he stayed home, with all that staying home stuff, he decided to investigate on this technique, which is really fun. I love doing this kind of stuff. He selected a blood orange for this session because I knew it would have a various textures and colors in the interior. So I was looking for a kind of stained glass window feel to the final image. He processed the basic adjustments, in Lightroom, and decreased the overall exposure, and bring up tonal contrast. Also, since the light table was very bright, I used a radial filter in Lightroom to black out the edges. I have also uploaded the original, and I will show that to you real quick right now. That's the original, why I keep reading. The first challenge that he says, the first challenge was that it took me several tries to get a section of orange cut evenly so that the surface would be parallel to the camera. Yeah. I didn't know, I know, so true, huh? I didn't know this was going to be an issue until my final taste, let me see where I'm at. I didn't know it was going to be an issue. Where am I at? Until my first test came out with uneven focus. I tried a mandolin slicer, but the orange skin was too tough for it. Yep. I ended up cutting the fruit face down on a cutting board using the knife handled he used the knife handle to set the slice thickness. I wish they were thinner, but I'll take what I can get. So he says the second challenge, we're almost done, you guys. I just love when you guys give us background. The second challenge, and what I'd like to know more about, is that I focus on the slice's surface. That meant that the cells deeper in the fruit were out of focus, and the image had an inconsistent clarity. What may have helped, he's saying, he's like rationalizing in his brain as I can see him saying this. What may have helped here was having a brighter light table or using thinner slices. I want feedback on lighting and staging techniques, and if you or AD have any experience with images like these, how would you have dealt with it? He used a Sony A7R II Sigma 70mm f2.8 DG art and was at 1/6 of a second f9, and his ISO was 100. So that's the before, and this is the after. And I love shooting fruit. I have a video on my YouTube on behind the scenes how I do it. I have not used a light table. Do you use a light? Have you done this kind of work before, AD?
Well, and so you should ask that. I have right here using to light me, actually. This little, if you notice how bright my hand is. I have an LED panel that's about 4 inches by 6 inches, and you can actually use it as a light table, and it works great for this sort of thing because it's just a white panel, and you can turn the brightness and you can control the white balance and all that stuff. But I have 2 words to suggest to Greg for how something that will help him immensely, and those 2 words are Williams Sonoma. You need to go get yourself $100 chef knife, and you will be able to cut that paper thin and get exactly what you want. And I never bought into that crap. We always just had like the knife sets and all this stuff. And my wife and I were, for Christmas one year, we couldn't figure out what to get, and so we went to Williams Sonoma at our mall, and we saw these Japanese Damascus steel knives, and I think it was about $120. And I'm like, are we gonna spend $120 on a knife? Are you kidding me?
Works.
And she's like, you bet we are. And it's the best. I tell you, it's the best thing we did. And for slicing fruit, we have a lime tree in our house. And we love fresh limes in our drinks. Yeah, so it grows these limes, and you can slice these limes so thin.
That's the key. That's the key. And
it's a big, like, it's like a cleaver knife, except for it's super sharp and it cuts through anything. And you just basically one nice slide with that knife, and it just does the whole slice, any thickness, and it's perfectly straight as well because the blade is, about this thick. So that will help you a little bit. I think you're on the right track.
I like this image.
I think it's
different.
I don't dislike the depth to it, Greg. So I do like that you front focused it a little bit. I mean, the other option is to micro focus and then stack it. Your radial filter, though, I'm sorry, did not work. Janice is on my uncalibrated monitor right now. Here. It is dark, but on my calibrated monitor, it is super light all the way around. And I would like to see that completely blacked out and just give me that. In fact, I would even like you to make the crop bigger and blacken out everything around just the orange in the center. Because it's just such a cool, like, fine art kind of looking thing. And probably the only other thing that I would suggest to you, and these are small edits, and this comes with like product photography, is down at the bottom there, just below the center of the orange, there's like a straight line. Right? Oh, no, down a little bit, Janice. Right this there. One? Yeah, I would take that out, and maybe the other dot that's just below it.
Okay, and then I'm going to give you a tip too, Greg, because Greg can take it. See, we know Greg, you guys. So this right here, I would see how this is nice and soft.
Can you zoom in on that for me a little bit? Because I couldn't tell what that was.
Say that again?
Can you zoom in on that for me?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. So what I would do is blend in these pieces.
Yeah.
Because it's turned into a more of a fine art piece to me, how I feel about it. I know you're asking about lighting. I agree with AD. You got to, if you want these to be sharp, then you got to chop them. You got to get them really thin.
I would love to even see like that crop right there is freaking awesome as well.
I know, isn't it cool? Look at how
when you go
nice
in on it, that's just there's so much you can play. Like, I mean, isn't that cool? Look at that.
I know, that's what the thing that's so sad about seeing it on, people scroll so fast on images.
Yeah.
And if you just were to sit here and just enjoy this, look at that. That's
that right there.
That's
right
beautiful.
There is just amazing. That's a wall hanger for sure. I mean, just those colors. You can imagine that like in a large format in a really modern style living room. Looks amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Great job, Greg.
More Edge Patrol.
For the lighting, if you want to look at, just go to Fruit and you can see how Janice lights. But I don't use a light table because I like to adjust my lights up and down on this. But you have a light table. I think you're doing, it's beautiful. But I do agree with AD too.
I would suggest too, Greg, I'm not sure, but even if you're using a light table, sometimes a flash in front of the fruit will give you more detail. Shooting down on it, so you have the table shooting up from underneath, and the other, then the flash shooting down from above will give you some highlight details that you normally wouldn't see as well. So, this is definitely an amazing image. I think I'm super psyched because I know that Greg is a fellow landscape photographer. I'm really super psyched to see him doing this kind of stuff.
Yes, kudos. All right, we're not going to do the equipment because I want to go into Elise. Nope, it's 1:52, man. It's 1 hour of this show.
We talk too much,
but we will do equipment next week because I had some cool stuff that I wanted me and AD to show.
2 weeks.
But I'm killing. I know I can't help it. It's just my thing.
It's in 2 weeks.
The show is an hour. AD's in the background.
No, I'm saying it's in 2 weeks, Janice. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Don't make me turn it up. You said it was in a week. It's in 2 weeks.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
All right. Okay. Yeah. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. But you got to do your volume and just talk over me.
No.
He's got the power, man, not me. Okay. So let's go into this beautiful image. I want to talk to Elise. I am so proud of Elise. She is totally stepping out of her comfort zone. She's doing two different things. She's learning a new software and she's trying new ways to shoot. So let me read this to you guys because it is absolutely amazing. So, and I wanted to thank you, Elise, for what you're going to say right now. She goes, I attended Janice post-processing workshop. Wow, what a learning curve and a lot of fun. I have only started using masks and layers, so I'm very much a beginner here. I have only ever carried out basic post-processing previously. She says, I purchased On1 Raw Photo 2021 after using the trial. This is a great program and it is suiting me. I have been very much influenced by episode 69, Macro Live Chat featuring toy photographer Mitchell Wu. I have been thinking about his work and how I can adapt it to my own statement images. I started photographing fairy dolls I bought last year and placed them in areas in my garden. I live in Southern Ireland, where stories of legends of the little folk are world famous. I felt this was a good area for me to develop and exploit. I have used On1 to create a different background layer and have effects and changed up, and she used effects and changed up some colors and hues using mask layers and textures.
Nice.
I've submitted my original. We will go to the original now. She says, I've submitted my original raw image before any editing and my post-processing image showing that what I've created so far. So she shot this at 5.6 or f/5.6, 1/60th of a second, ISO 320, and she used her Canon 700D and used a 100 millimeter 2.8 IS USM macro lens. I'm still working on this as I feel, let me put this back to the original because people might want to help her. She says, I'm still working on this as I feel it is oversaturated, overbright, and does not feel natural. This could also be due to my monitor, but that is something I don't believe I can calibrate further. I feel I can add some shadows or lights, and I can then see some dimension. I would appreciate any advice or directions as I'm trying to learn to use On1 video tutorials, which are directed more to landscape and architecture. I'm trying to learn and adapt the techniques for macro. While I have never been a fan of over-processed work, I can certainly see why it can be fun to do this. I just need more experience or directions or better techniques. I would appreciate any advice or directions that you think would help. Kind regards. Oh, she's so awesome, isn't she?
Finally an image and a technique that I am thoroughly versed in. This is awesome.
I love this, isn't it? And you know what I wanted to say, Elise? I am making a series for macro photographers using On1.
Oh, cool.
And I'm so, she's the one that put it in my brain, like, really? There's no videos for macro photographers? Oh my gosh, I'm going to totally rock on that one.
I meant more of compositing. That's...
Yeah, no. I just remember in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Remember in the beginning of the show, I was telling you that Elise got me something. That's it.
Yeah, I actually started my photo editing started in compositing. So that was my very first.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I've got many images that I could show you that I composited over the years for CD covers and for advertisements and for fun and wallpapers and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, there are so many things. And I'm not sure, we've got like 3 or 4 minutes left. I don't know if, Janice, you want to say your piece and then I will go into my suggestions for Elise?
No, you go, because I'll chop you off when I'm ready. So say it quickly. You know how I am. I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's keep going.
Elise, you've got a wonderful start here. You've got all of the things, all of the basics. Now you need to go to the next level. So you've got everything that you need to make your image. I think it's a wonderful start. It tells its story.
I love it.
Now what you need to do is make me believe that these were all shot like this. And this is where Mitchell excels in what he does, and why he's so good at what he does is that he makes you believe that everything was shot exactly like you're seeing it. So one of the suggestions that I would make, one of the easiest things to do to make your image more believable, like it was all shot, it's real, it happened, you got to believe me, is to add a little bit of film grain to the final layer that you're putting on the image. This will tie all of the compositive things together quite well to make it blend a little bit better for you. So that's step number 1, is add a little bit of film grain. That can be tricky. Sometimes you want to go with real fine grain. Sometimes you want to go with a little bit thicker, kind of less contrasty grain, just so you don't notice it as much. But that will give it a more believable. It'll bind things together. Well, another thing that you want to keep in mind is you had talked about shadows. You always want to think about, where is my light direction coming from? And you need to pick one object, or the dominant objects. And I mean dominance by, if you shot a tree and it had a certain light angle on it and you can't alter that, then you're going to need to make everything else in that image take that same light angle. Because if you don't, and say the light is on the fairy coming from the right, and then the light on the tree is coming from the left, you will not be able to sell that image to me when I look at it, because I'll know that the light doesn't come from 2 suns at the same time.
Well, I think she's probably wondering, like, why isn't it working? And it's because we're so used to seeing this all the time that you don't pay attention. So you know what, Elise, shadows is going to be your friend. You know what I mean?
Well, this is what I'm getting at. So you definitely want to pay attention to, you pick your light angle, and that's where you want to create your shadows, is from that actual light angle. So I know Elise understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so the other final thing that I would suggest to you, Elise, that would basically help the image a little bit, is I would cut the wing off the fairy and make it a different layer on its own, and then lower the opacity so that you can see through the wing. I'm going where?
You're going. She has never done anything like that before. This is like her first time, but you could try.
Well, hold on, Janice. Give Elise some credit here. She cut out all of these images so she could easily separate the wing from the fairy. She can do it.
Okay.
And then just all you need to do after that is lower the opacity so that you can see through the wing slightly and see that bokeh out background. Yeah, that's also going to sell the image quite a bit.
I love that idea. That is totally, because you would think that the wings are always see-through. So that's that is a perfect idea.
And probably finally, what I would suggest is that look into using, I think they're available in On1. I haven't looked at the 2021 level of On1 yet. I do have it. I haven't looked at it. But look and see if they have lookup tables or light tables. LUTs. Yeah. And I would apply a final LUT to the whole image and this is what we call color grading at the end, which will allow the tones, shadows, and everything all over the image to match. And that way, you're also going to help fool the viewer into believing that everything was all together. Other than that, though, I mean, you have all of the tools here to make this a Mitchell Wu level image, I believe. It's just tying those are the things that he does. So study his work and look for those little details, and you'll know how he did them, and then you can apply those to your work as well.
Yeah, and AD, you know what else too? He's so nice. He's like, if you ever have any questions, you just go to his videos and stuff and ask him or whatever. He's super, super nice. Super nice. Yes, she's like, she knows about On1 LUTs, and she says she's thinking about the wings. And I just really, really, really love that wing one, because I think that's the only thing that's kind of distracting. She was talking about saturation. It doesn't really bug me, the saturation, but I think the wing, what you said about the wing, is really going to tie that in.
Yeah, and listen, Elise, if you have questions at all, you can reach out to me, send me a layered file, and I'll make you a video of the editing so you can see how it's done. So if if you're interested in learning, if you're not sure about some of these things that I mentioned, and I've told everybody this, anytime you guys are interested, Janice is busy making videos or something like that, I'm happy to make a quick video of an edit of a file, and I will narrate as I go along and show you what I do, and a lot of people learn from that as well. So
you should do that. We should put it on the show.
That's maybe something for the future.
I like that. I mean, especially if it's only like a 5 or 10, 15 minute, you know what I mean? We could show that to people, and you and I would just hang out on the background, and we could watch the chat if they have questions. I love that idea.
Cool. I think it's a great image, Elise, and I think you're well on your way to being able to do these images for sure.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, AD. I love it too. I think it's a beautiful image. I love that I love your little star, because that's your signature. So you've done such a great job. It's really, really cute. She's cleaned it up too. Really nice. So again, here's the before, you guys. And see how it feels like you could see the background, at least. This is the thing too. Once she does that, man, it's going to rock.
Yeah. You're going to see the image through that a little bit. It doesn't take much to make it, when people see through that and see the image, they're immediately going to believe that the background image was exactly the way you shot it. I mean, I can see through the wing. Obviously, that's exactly what I'm seeing. So a lot of those little things like that definitely will put you on the right path, but you're definitely getting there on your own anyway. So good job.
She rocks it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to us, Baz. We will get your information and do your flower we'll do your flowers for sure. And any else that, if you're a newbie, definitely check out the links down below also on how to share your images for us to have fun and push you out of your comfort zone. So as you can see, we're not evil at all. So I just want to remind you guys in 2 weeks we'll be on, I think what I write here, March 18th at 1 p.m. And if you like this show, give it a thumbs up and definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel. After replayers, check down below and comment. And if we have missed your question in this show, please ask down below in the comments. And I can always ping AD if it's for AD or if it's me. We can always get back to the comments and answer your questions for the show.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, again, I want you guys all to remember that your 1,000 words does make a difference. Have a great day, evening.
Feel better, Baz. We'll see you guys next time.